Sometimes, the bravest decision a nation can make is the one that pulls it away from the familiar path and places it on the road less traveled. For decades, India's alliances were shaped by a comfort zone, a set of relationships that felt safe, predictable, and at times limiting. But comfort, while soothing, is rarely where growth happens. True transformation begins when you dare to let go of the hand that has always been there and walk into the unknown, trusting that your own steps will find the ground. India's choice to align with Russia and China is a testament to that courage. It is not simply about shaking hands and signing treaties. It is about rewriting the story of who we are and where we are going. This is the decision of a nation that refuses to be boxed into one narrative, a country that has learned from history that alliances must be chosen for the future we desire, not for the past we have lived. Breaking free from old ties is never without cost. It comes with whispers of doubt, loud voices of criticism, and the piercing question, what if this fails? But courage has never been about certainty. Courage is the quiet conviction that even if the path is uncertain, the destination is worth the risk. It is the belief that the heartbeat of our nation must not be dictated by the comfort of others, but by the dreams we dare to chase. This alignment signals to the world that India is no longer waiting for permission to pursue its vision. It is an act of self-definition. We are not here to fit into a global order designed by others. We are here to co-create a new one that reflects balance, fairness, and mutual respect. And co-creation demands that we step away from relationships that no longer serve our higher purpose, no matter how deep their roots run. It takes a certain kind of strength to look at long-standing partnerships and say, "Thank you for the journey so far, but we must go where our destiny calls us." This is not betrayal, it is evolution. And evolution always feels uncomfortable to those who prefer the stillness of the past over the motion of the future. But India has chosen motion. India has chosen growth. When you walk away from something familiar, you are not just leaving, you are also arriving at a space where your voice carries its own weight, where your decisions are shaped by your aspirations, not by the shadow of someone else's power. This new alignment is India's arrival into a place of greater influence, where its choices ripple across continents, where its courage inspires others to rethink their own place in the world. Yes, there will be storms. Every journey into uncharted waters comes with waves that test the strength of the vessel. But India's ship has been weathered by history's tempests. It has sailed through colonization, partition, wars, and economic trials. It has been broken and rebuilt again and again, until its very foundation has become resilience. That resilience is now our compass. And so, this choice, this act of courage, is not just about politics or economics. It is about self-respect. It is about standing tall and saying to the world, we choose our partners not out of fear, but out of vision. We choose our alliances not to survive, but to thrive. In aligning with Russia and China, India is not just stepping into a new chapter, it is holding the pen to write it. And history will remember that when the moment came to choose between the comfort of the known and the courage of the unknown, India chose courage, always courage. When we look at the journey of nations, we see that unity is rarely born from sameness. It blossoms in the fertile soil of diversity. India, Russia, and China each carry histories that are as vast as their landscapes, cultures shaped by centuries of struggle, triumph, and transformation. On the surface, they may seem like three different worlds, each with its own rhythms, languages, and philosophies. Yet beneath these differences lies something far more powerful, a shared vision of a world where dignity is not selective and respect is not conditional. This is what makes their coming together extraordinary. It is a declaration that diversity does not divide, it enriches. That nations can walk alongside one another without erasing their unique identities. When a shared vision becomes the guiding light, the lines that once separated us become threads that weave us into something greater. India's alignment with Russia and China is not about agreeing on every detail, it is about agreeing on the direction. It is about recognizing that no single nation should hold the monopoly on leadership, wealth, or influence. This shared vision is a call to build a future where decisions are made not by a few for the many, but by the many for all. It is a vision of a multipolar world where collaboration replaces coercion and where cooperation is a strength, not a weakness. Such a vision requires humility, the humility to learn from one another's strengths, the openness to acknowledge one another's struggles, and the courage to admit that the old ways have failed too many for too long. It demands that we stop seeing the world as a chessboard where the powerful move the powerless, and instead start seeing it as a table where every voice has a seat and every seat has equal weight. And in this moment, India is not just a participant in that vision, it is a pillar of it. With its democracy, its economic might, and its cultural depth, India brings to this alliance not only strength, but a moral compass. Russia, with its strategic influence and resilience, and China, with its industrial and technological power, each bring their own unique capabilities. Together, they form a balance that the world has not seen in generations, a balance that can challenge imbalances and restore fairness to a system that has long been tilted. But shared vision is not born in conference rooms alone, it is forged in trust. Trust that even when we disagree, we will not walk away. Trust that our differences will not be used against us, but will be the very thing that makes our alliance stronger. And trust that the future we are building will not come at the cost of our principles, but will be shaped by them. The world will watch with skepticism, as it always does when something threatens the status quo. There will be attempts to sow doubt, to divide, to remind us of every fault line that could weaken this union. But when the vision is clear, when the purpose is shared, no amount of doubt can derail it. This alignment is not a marriage of convenience, it is a commitment born of necessity and sustained by belief. In the years to come, this shared vision could redefine not only the politics of the world, but the possibilities within it. For when three great civilizations choose to see beyond borders, beyond histories of mistrust, and beyond the noise of the present, they create something history cannot ignore, a unity that inspires others to dream of a world where partnership is not based on fear but on hope. And hope, when shared, has the power to change everything. There comes a moment in the life of every nation when it must decide whether it will continue to live under the shadow of others or step boldly into its own light. For India, aligning with Russia and China is more than a diplomatic move. It is a statement to the world that we refuse to be defined by dependency. For too long, the global order has been shaped by the same hands, and too often those hands have dictated not only the rules, but the roles that nations like ours are expected to play. This choice is India's way of saying, we will write our own role, and we will choose the stage we stand on. Dependency has a way of disguising itself as partnership. It can feel safe because it comes with familiar benefits, access to markets, strategic assurances, economic incentives. But safety that comes at the cost of sovereignty is not safety at all. It is a cage painted in the colors of comfort. India has seen what it means to have its policies, its priorities, even its dreams, influenced by the approval of those who see themselves as gatekeepers of the world order. And there comes a time when you realize that no matter how golden the cage, it still keeps you from flying. This alignment with Russia and China is the act of opening that cage. It is India stepping onto the world stage as a nation that will not be swayed by pressure or seduced by conditional promises. We have learned through decades of challenges, from colonial rule to economic sanctions, that strength is not given, it is earned. And the only way to earn it is to stand on your own terms, even if it means standing alone at first. Breaking away from dependency is never an easy choice. It invites criticism. It triggers resistance from those who have benefited from your reliance. It makes you the target of doubt and sometimes even hostility. But self-reliance is not about pleasing everyone. It is about honoring yourself. For India, this means building partnerships that are rooted in mutual respect rather than quiet submission, alliances where we meet as equals rather than as beneficiaries. This is not an act of isolation. Far from it. It is an act of choosing connection on our own terms. By turning towards Russia and China, India is not closing the door on the world. We are simply opening a different one that leads to a hall where our voice is not just heard, but valued. In this space, we are not an afterthought in someone else's strategy. We are a co-architect of the vision itself. And yes, this choice will come with its share of trials. It will require patience to navigate differences, wisdom to maintain balance, and resilience to withstand the pressure from those who feel threatened by a more independent India. But we have been tempered by history, and history has taught us that nothing worth having comes without struggle. The freedom to choose our path, the right to shape our future, the power to decide who walks alongside us, these are not privileges handed down by others. They are responsibilities we claim for ourselves. In standing against dependency, India is not turning its back on the world. It is facing it fully, with clear eyes and an unshakable will. And in doing so, we remind every nation, big or small, that the truest form of power is the ability to say, "We choose our way forward, and we choose it freely." This is the heartbeat of our decision, and it will echo far beyond our borders. Strength is never born in the quiet moments of comfort. It is forged in the fire of trials. For India, the journey to this point, standing alongside Russia and China, has not been a straight path paved with ease. It has been a road marked with obstacles, pressure, and moments where the world questioned whether we would rise or fall. And yet, every trial we have faced has not weakened us. It has shaped us. It has given us a kind of strength that cannot be borrowed, bought, or gifted. For decades, India has navigated a global system where it has often been underestimated, pressured into compromises, and subjected to the weight of diplomatic and economic challenges. We have seen sanctions threaten our stability, wars test our resolve, and crises demand sacrifices that were heavier than we were prepared for. But in every challenge, we found a reason to endure. We found that adversity, while painful, has a way of sharpening a nation's will and deepening its understanding of what truly matters. It is easy to make decisions in times of peace and plenty. It is when resources are scarce, when the world is watching with skepticism, and when the stakes are higher than ever, that true character is revealed. India's character was revealed not in moments of triumph, but in moments of trial, when the easy choice would have been to bow down, yet we stood firm, when the expected move was retreat. Yet we moved forward. Every storm we have weathered has prepared us for this moment. The financial crisis of the past taught us resilience in the face of economic vulnerability. Border conflicts taught us that sovereignty must be guarded at all costs. Diplomatic isolation at times reminded us that we could stand on our own and still stand tall. These experiences have been our silent teachers, shaping us into a nation that does not just survive storms. We grow stronger because of them. And that strength is now the foundation upon which this alignment with Russia and China is built. We are not entering this partnership from a place of desperation, but from a place of confidence. We have learned to be self-reliant, to innovate when the world closes its doors, and to find opportunity where others see only barriers. We have become skilled at turning setbacks into stepping stones, and every challenge has become fuel for our determination. This is why our choice to realign is not a gamble. It is a calculated step taken by a nation that knows its own worth. We are not looking for saviors, we are looking for partners. And only a nation that has endured trials can truly value the kind of partnership where equality, trust, and shared strength are the foundation. Strength born from trials is different from strength born from privilege. Privilege can be fragile, it breaks when tested. But strength forged in hardship is unshakable. It carries with it the memory of every battle fought and every burden carried. It reminds you that you have stood in the fire before and emerged not just intact, but stronger. India's story is a testament to that truth. We are here today not because the path was easy, but because we refused to give up when it was hard. We have learned that trials do not define us by the pain they cause, but by the strength they awaken. And now, as we step into this new alignment, we do so with a heart that has been tested, a will that has been tempered, and a vision that has been made clearer by every challenge we have overcome. For too long, the destiny of the world has been shaped by the will of a few, while the rest have been expected to follow in silence. The dream of a multipolar world is the dream of breaking that pattern, of creating a global stage where no single nation stands as the master and no other is forced into the role of a subordinate. It is the dream of balance, of fairness, of a future where power is not hoarded but shared. India's alignment with Russia and China is not just a strategic partnership, it is a step towards that dream. It is a refusal to accept a world order where decisions are made in the interests of a select few and then imposed upon the many. For years, we have seen how concentrated power can distort justice, manipulate economies, and silence voices. We have seen how the ambitions of one can become the burdens of all. And so, the idea of a multipolar world is not just a political theory for us, it is a necessity for survival, dignity, and peace. This vision is not about replacing one dominant power with another. That is not true change. It is simply exchanging one chain for another. A multipolar world is about creating a system where no single pole can dictate the future of all others, where every nation, whether large or small, has the right to shape the path ahead. It is about moving from a hierarchy of control to a circle of cooperation. India stands at the heart of this transformation because we understand both sides of the story. We know what it means to be influenced by external powers, to have our choices limited by the expectations of others, but we also know the responsibility that comes with influence. That power, if not shared, becomes a weapon, and that leadership, if not inclusive, becomes tyranny. This is why we dream of a world where influence is balanced, where leadership is earned through respect, and where the voices of the smaller nations are amplified rather than drowned out. The path to this vision will not be easy. It will face resistance from those who have grown comfortable in a system that benefits them. It will require patience, diplomacy, and the courage to stand firm even when the pressure to conform is immense. But the truth is, a multipolar world is not just India's dream. It is the unspoken hope of many nations who are tired of being sidelined, who long for a system that sees them not as followers, but as equals. Aligning with Russia and China is one step towards building the scaffolding of that new order. Each brings unique strengths to the table: political influence, economic capacity, technological advancement, cultural depth. Together with India, these strengths can be harnessed not to dominate, but to create a more balanced and just international system. It is a vision where cooperation replaces coercion, where respect replaces intimidation, and where unity replaces the divisions created by power imbalances. A multipolar world is not a utopia, it is a choice to believe that humanity's future is better served when no single voice drowns out the chorus of many. A choice to stand for equality, not just within our borders, but across them. And while this dream may take decades to fully realize, the first steps matter. Today, India chooses to take one of those steps, not as a follower in someone else's vision, but as a co-creator of a new reality. We dream of a day when history will look back and say that this was the moment the tides began to shift, that this was the time when nations decided to meet as equals and lead together. And when that day comes, the dream of a multipolar world will no longer be a dream. It will be the foundation on which the future stands. Power, in its truest form, is not about the ability to dominate. It is about the ability to unite. The alignment of India with Russia and China is not simply a geopolitical shift. It is a statement to the world that unity is the new currency of strength. For too long, global power has been defined by who can impose their will the farthest and the fastest. But history has shown that empires built on dominance eventually crumble, while alliances built on trust and mutual respect endure. This moment marks the birth of something different: a united front against inequality, exploitation, and the notion that some nations are destined to lead, while others are destined to follow. India, Russia, and China together are declaring that the new global order will not be shaped by fear or submission, but by cooperation. It is a commitment to building a future where no country's voice is dismissed because of its size, and no nation's worth is measured by its willingness to comply with someone else's demands. Unity is not the absence of differences, it is the choice to rise above them. These three nations have different systems of governance, diverse cultures, and complex histories. Yet, they have found common ground in the belief that the world is better served when power is shared. That belief is not just political. It is deeply moral. It says to the world that fairness, dignity, and respect are not privileges for a few, but rights for all. India's presence in this alliance is a reminder that unity does not require uniformity. We bring our democratic values, our economic ambition, and our centuries-old philosophy of Vasudhaiva Kutumbakam. The world is one family. Russia brings its strategic resilience and global influence. China brings its technological and industrial might. Each member brings something the others cannot provide alone. Together, they form a strength that is not additive but exponential. But unity also demands sacrifice. It requires patience when differences arise, humility when disagreements threaten to divide, and trust when the path ahead is uncertain. This kind of unity cannot be bought or forced. It must be chosen again and again, especially when it is tested. And it will be tested. The existing global powers will not welcome this shift without resistance. They will try to fracture it, to exploit differences, to make the alliance doubt itself. But the measure of true unity is not whether it avoids challenges, but whether it survives them. In this union, each nation stands taller, not because it gains more control, but because it gains more allies. The message to the world is clear: strength no longer lies in isolation or in the shadow of one superpower. It lies in the courage to join hands and walk forward together. And when such unity is anchored in equality, it becomes unstoppable. The birth of this new power is not about replacing one center of authority with another. It is about ensuring there are many centers, all working in balance. It is about creating a system where collaboration is not an exception, but the rule, where the prosperity of one does not come at the expense of another, but fuels the prosperity of all. History will remember this moment as the time when three nations looked at the fractures of the world and decided not to exploit them, but to heal them, when they chose not to compete for dominance, but to stand together for fairness. And if this unity holds, it will not just reshape the balance of power, it will redefine the very meaning of power itself. Because in the new global order, the strongest force will not be the one that stands alone, but the one that stands united.